So today we're talking about the golf swing basics. 3 things that everybody needs to know in order to start to build a repeatable golf swing.
Perfect.
So we're talking about the golf swing basics. How do we actually swing a club? What are the fundamentals that you need to do to get that golf club and get that body moving correctly in a golf swing? And we're going to break this down into 3 different parts. We're going to talk about how you stand to the golf ball, your stance. We're going to talk about what the arms and the club should be doing, and we're going to be talking about what your body should be doing. But we're going to keep it incredibly simple and give you some drills that you can do, even if you're just at home or even at the driving range. Now, it's important to note here that if I was giving a golf lesson to someone who is a relatively new golfer, I wouldn't be starting with the golf swing basics. I would be starting with educating them as to actually what happens at impact. How do we actually hit the golf ball solid? Talking about contact and low point. But in this video, we're talking actually about the motion of the swing itself, the 3 things that have to be present in every golf swing if you're to start to build a consistent swing. So the first thing would be we have to pretty much stand to the ball in a pretty functional way. We have to create a relationship around the ball which helps us make contact to make it consistent. Ball is on the ground, therefore we have to be tilted over by a certain amount. So let's look at what we actually want in the starting position. From here, which is me just stood up perfectly straight, I want to be tilting over by a certain amount until the club is resting on the ground. So that's really important we have some tilt over the golf ball. That tilt is coming from the hips, it's not coming from the back. Best way for you to work that out is take a golf club and place the grip end on your belt buckle and place your lead hand onto the club shaft. Notice that my lead arm is pretty straight. If I do this incorrectly, if I bend from the back, my lead arm will start to break down, the golf club doesn't move. If I do this from the hips, you'll notice that the lead arm will stay straight and the golf club will actually move down with me. So this is how I establish where my tilt over the golf ball is coming from. It has to come from the hips. Now you'll also notice when I do that my backside actually moves a little bit out behind my heels. That's perfect because that keeps me in balance as my head is moving forwards. Once I've made that movement, I'm going to put a little bit of flex in my knees. I'm going to let my arms hang very, very naturally from my shoulders. So the key checkpoints here would be my arms are hanging straight down. That's the first thing. The back of my shoulders need to be in front of my knees and about through my toes, and my tailbone needs to be out behind my heels by a good amount. This would be how I want to stand to the golf ball when I've got an iron club hitting it from the ground. Really common would be to see someone sitting too much this way, so you can see that the shoulders are no longer in front of my knees, or we'll get the one where we talked about a moment ago where the bend over the ball comes from the back and we stand up like this. This can often limit rotation, limit movement, and make it very difficult to put energy into the golf club. So the first thing we need to do is create a good relationship around the ball. Make sure you're tilting from your hips, the arms are hanging straight down, and you've got those balance points ticked off. That's how we stand. So once we've got a good stance, how does the club and the arms, how do they move around your body? Well, in order to do that, we're actually going to go back from our stance into a very, very natural standing position. So I'd love you to get a golf club here, stand up very naturally, and just place the golf club out in front of you with the club head around about your eye level. And all I'd really love you to do here is, using your hands and your arms and a little bit of shoulder turn, start to swing that club around your body, but trying to keep that club head pretty much on this horizontal line. So we really wouldn't want that club going too much down here or too much up here. What we'd actually want to do is get that club head moving pretty much around my body on this horizontal angle, as you can see there. Now, if we're looking at the kind of golf swing basics and how the club and the arms work, we really don't want to overcomplicate this. All I'm really trying to do is get that golf club, keep it on this horizontal line and move it behind my head. Because if I can do that, it's giving me a pretty good reference for how the club is moving around my body, and it's getting my arms to move pretty nicely as well. Now obviously we don't start from here, we've already discussed the starting position, but all we're really looking at here is how does the club and the arms move relative to my body. That movement that we've just kind of run through there would happen, we just do it from this position. So when I'm down over the ball, I can still have the feeling of that club moving as we just rehearsed from that little demonstration. So how does the club and the arms move around the body? the club head stays in this horizontal line and the club head moves behind your head. And all you would do from there is you'd move it all the way through to a finish. Behind my head, all the way through to a finish. And this is a great way for someone to really get a basic understanding of how that club should move around the body. So what about the body itself? How do we actually move that body to make sure that we're syncing everything up? Well, we're going to get rid of the golf club for the moment. We're going to take an alignment stick, if I can get the right one out here. So if I go back into the posture that or the stance that we established at the beginning, what we'd love you to do is actually feel like there is a pivot where the lead side, so that's my left side, moves towards the golf ball and my trail side moves away from the golf ball. And if I can do that, what we should start to see is that there's quite a significant angle through this alignment stick that's across my shoulders. The reason there's an angle through my shoulders is because we set that at address. If my address was here, then we would have no angle. But as we tilt over the ball, we want to maintain that inclination to the ground, as we call it, and have a rotation where there's angle through the body. Notice how the angle is referenced through my hips and through my knees. This is what we would class as a good pivot. If we can start to get this really good pivot, we start to maintain pretty much our head position. Really common to see a golfer do this. You see the head lifts and the alignment stick gets close to level. So by maintaining my head position, it allows me to get this angle through the stick, and that allows you to make my good pivot. So if we think about any golf swing, it's really made up of three main components. It's made up of a starting position, which influences what we do later in the swing. So our stance, which we've covered. We've got what does the body do in the backswing? And then what we've got is what does the club and the arms do around that body? And a good golf swing is just made up of those three elements blended together. Good setup, good body pivot, and the arms and the club moving around the body quite nicely. So if I was to go ahead and try and put those things together with my 7-iron, we establish a good setup, we have a good pivot, and we move the arms and the club around our body in that fashion. And that's given me a pretty nice shot, slightly left of the flag, but I would take that. So what are the golf swing basics? We have to stand to the ball, we all have to do that. We all have to move our body in a certain way, and we all have to move the club around the body. Those little drills there have hopefully given you a really quite a simple way or simple method to practice and understand those concepts. Sometimes we don't have to always be in golf posture to get a better understanding of that. You know, doing this little exercise here and understanding how the club moves around your body is a really good way to start to develop some better ideas, some better concepts. And very often, if you're someone who's you're on your journey into golf, understanding the concepts is absolutely vital. Getting the right concepts in your head and what you're trying to do can really accelerate your learning and help you play some better golf pretty quickly. So thanks for watching. Usual stuff is down below. There's a comments box down there. There's a like button. That's the subscribe link. We'd love to have you part of the community. I really think these videos can help you play some better golf. So go ahead and give that a click, and hopefully I'll see you back here again